Hello, my name's Tom Carhill. It's Monday, the 12th of May 2014. I want to do a quick video, and this will be not a very long one. It's all going to be about people's false personas and how they not only damage themselves, they not only damage potentially the people around them, they also damage the society in general, and they are actually, they don't really serve any purpose. And I want to link it to something very topical at the minute, which is this alleged, rampant paedophilia in England. Now, I've never been under any illusions that there's lots of people who are complete sexual deviants and perverts. And, one of the main reasons for this was because from a very, very young age, I got given the sort of lowdown on it because my dad was a social worker and he dealt with lots of paedophiles. And one of the problems was when you're going around seeing a family, often there'll be paedophiles in that family, but you've got no actual evidence that you could use against them. So, and the family might not actually have any interest in them being prosecuted, even though they are actually members, because they're members of their own family, for instance, that type of stuff. And there's a plethora of reasons why lots of paedophiles don't even get charged, they don't even get to speak to the police. And of course, you've got to be very sympathetic to the police in this, is if you do go after somebody for being a paedophile, it can be very difficult to prove, and also you get lots of resentment from lots of areas where you shouldn't, and it's totally inappropriate, but you do. And I also know for a fact that, let's say in a school, the official line will be that if somebody's kid comes and tells one of the teachers or any of the other staff or the classroom assistants that somebody's touched them up or something, they're meant to report it. Whereas if they report it, and they're going to take it very seriously, if they report it, they'll basically talk to them as though they've just gone and had a shit in the middle of the fucking room. They treat them like shit for reporting stuff, and the way they talk about the children who've reported it, they just 90% of times there's a very, very massive cloud of doubt over the kid. And in numerous instances, as I said, my mum used to work, well, I didn't say this, but my mum used to work as a classroom assistant, and she'd pass on some story that the kids had told her to one of the higher up teachers. They wouldn't do anything, and then 6 months later, that teacher would be getting carted off the police because of having sex with children. So you don't ever dare just blame it all on the police in England and not doing anything. Often the family who's involved will be to blame. It's just an absolute minefield of people not doing what they say they're going to do. So when you get over this rampant lies, which is much bigger than a rampant paedophilia problem, these people will just do absolutely nothing. They will never do what they say they're going to do. They're just lying. A lot of people will, but there's a lot of people who won't. And of course, in England now, you've got this golden excuse never to do anything, which is, but it's work though. Right, now that isn't even an excuse, because people say they've got morals, and they go, oh yeah, but I've got morals, but they were going to pay me some money. And they make this excuse for absolutely everything. And so there is no moral standard in England where people go up to at the minute, and it just doesn't exist. And this is where I wanted to bring on to where I wanted to extend it. So let's say you've got a paedophile family where they abuse the children and they've been abused themselves, and they just sort of think it's normal. So it's not good, but that family, they're just kind of they're keeping it in the family. It's not really necessarily having any particularly massively negative effect in the immediacy on anyone else. So they're not telling anybody, or they're trying to keep it quiet. And the only reason it's been flagged up to social services is because, let's say, they've been acting inappropriately when they're too young to know about sex. They've been acting inappropriately at school, something like that, or they've been asking weird questions, or the other children's parents have been getting concerned because they've been saying strange things about sex to their children, and they've repeated it. The type of thing. So you can see how that there's families like that, and you can see how that it's very hard to sort of impregnate. That's the wrong word. Sorry. Get into that situation, get involved with it, and get to the bottom of it, and actually affect any change. It's very difficult because you have lots of resistance. But I'm not talking about that in this particular occasion. So I just want to make all that clear, because all those things are absolutely true. I've got second-hand knowledge of loads of them, or would it be first-hand knowledge? I've got a lot of experience of these things. The one that I want to focus on is when people say if such and such, if a paedophile touched my kids, I'd kill him. Blah blah. End of. End of. It's normally finished off with some silly sort of wankery sort of like slang term that the person wouldn't normally use, and lots of bad use of bad language. And the facts of the matter is, right, and I've got to be very careful to preface this. My dad, for instance, never used to talk about his job ever. Very, 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 very seldom would he mention anything, and he would never give names or anything like that. But the point is that in the whole time he was a social worker, if, say, some paedophile had, say, got killed, he would have said, you know, it'd been in the news, he'd say, oh, yeah, we were dealing with that one, yeah, people had accused him of being a paedophile. Because it would be obvious he would have been dealing with it, because his office would have been dealing with it. So it would be obvious he'd know about it. So he'd just say something like that. I know he would. That's because, you know, it's kind of containment, you know, or you get asked. Now, the whole time he was a social worker, whilst I've got absolutely no doubt that people do vigilante behaviour and go and kill paedophiles, none of the paedophiles someone didn't even go to prison, someone got charged, found guilty, didn't go to prison because he got like one guy, he didn't actually have anything to do with this. He got off because he got a reference from the priest saying he's good, he comes to church. So he'd been fiddling with little kids. I don't think he'd been raping them, but he'd been fiddling with little kids. He had an acting school, and he got off because he got a good reference off his priest. Well, I don't really buy this good reference off his priest. I think they just let them off as standard, because I don't really see how you can say the judge goes, oh, well, he got a good reference off his priest. It doesn't really make any sense. Anyway, the point is, these idiots who like to try and convince everybody, even though it doesn't work, that if their children got like touched up, or somebody, you know, tried to do something to them or raped them or whatever, or tried to, or, you know, had intentions on it, and they killed them, these people are just wankers. They're not going to do anything. Right now, there might have been a time in the past where the British public would have done this. And if you know, I don't know, in Ireland, I know a lot of paedophiles do get murdered, or murdered. They get euthanized, or whatever you'd call it. They get got rid of. They do just turn up dead. And one of the reasons for this is because there was like political upheaval. For a start, if you had more people with guns, more people with weapons, you had more people who were willing to kill for, you know, various wider objectives. If you find out there's a paedophile there, you're all set up to kill someone anyway, so you might as well just go and kill them. You know, like so you've got to sort of preface it in that manner. But the point is that in England, most people just talk rubbish all the time. So, like, just like they'd be going, oh, but my job, I've got a job, oh, I've got to go to work, I've got to do this, they'll be just like, oh, but the police said they'll sort it out, oh, but and you know they wouldn't kill anyone. So there's all this pretending to be the big hard man. It turns out the only time they're ever the big hard man is when there's like fighting 100 to 1 against like one Afghan with a machine gun, and they're like all sitting there with like terror drones and target killings from like shooting them from outer space and stuff. The British public is just full of cunts. I mean, it's as simple as that. They've just been completely eroded. Massive increase in over-feminisation of men, hyper-feminisation of women. Doesn't do anybody any good. You've got 90% of the men wandering about in the streets in London. If you look at them funny, you sort of think, fucking hell, he's queer. He's definitely, there's arse bandits all around central London, just absolutely full of it. And these people are the same people who would have you believe that they'd be overly bothered if somebody touched up their kids. And the truth is, they just wouldn't be. There was a time when this wouldn't be the case, but they're just talking rubbish. And I think it's very important to address this. You've got an increase in perversion, you've got a decrease in any moral standards whatsoever, and you've got these people just talking absolute rubbish all the time. But when it actually, you know, one of their chickens comes home to roost and they have to do something about it, excuse a completely wrong expression now, it's not really applicable in it. Yeah, but whenever the actual thing, you know, the proof of they're wearing they're all trousers, no action kind of thing, or all action, no trousers, or whatever you call it. They just talk shit the whole time, and when anything actually crops up where they'd actually have to do anything about it, they just make stupid excuses, and they think they're kidding somebody, but they're not kidding anybody. You see the kind of thing I mean? So that's just what I've been thinking about, and I've just been thinking, you know, like who really benefits from this? And I think nobody apart from perverts and freaks who want to completely wreck the country. So I think the political subversiveness, if you get on the subject from my other videos, the political subversiveness in England has been so successful, the people have just been completely washed of any kind of level of integrity. They've got not really any sort of bravery. They've got lots of mouth, no intelligence, no sense of responsibility. You know, the country is ripe to be taken over. But then again, why would you bother taking over a country when it's already been completely corrupted? And there's no point in taking it over because all the people are just complete cowards. And you could just order them what to do and they'll just do it. You just may give them a good enough excuse, like you'll withhold 1 day's pay per month if they don't, you know, start letting their children go to your little Peterborough club. Do you know what I mean? They'd all go along with it. I reckon they would. The people have just lost all sense of morals. And that's just the way it is. And they just use the excuse everyone else does it. The thing is, right, for you, those of you who are getting desensitised by the paedophile agenda, you've got to understand that homosexuality and paedophilia always comes in, well, open paedophilia especially, in every society when it's completely eroded and wrecked, and it always like falls afterwards. It's kind of part of the degeneration cycle. So even if you don't think there's anything wrong with it and you think it's good, like someone like Richard Dawkins or someone like that, one of these, even if you're one of these stalwart academics who just knows better than everyone else, you've got to realise that that does spell the end of your particular civilization. And, you know, I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean I suppose, really, really bad stuff for the people in the civilization, but often it does. Often it's catastrophic and they all get killed by invading foreign interests, you know. So, I don't know, that's just my thoughts on it. People talk too much rubbish. They will not back up anything. They won't do anything, in fact. They won't even help support anybody who's in a bad situation. It's just, you know, it's quite a disgusting sight to behold. Thanks a lot for listening. My name's Tom Carhill. It's the 12th of May 2014. I'd like to hear what you say about it. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.